But the Kings still have a chance to win it at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray hits a tough shot. That's what he does. Little free throw line jumper.
Yep.
But again, 8 seconds left. Kings run a perfect play. Domas on the short roll catch finds DeMar cutting. DeRozan drops the basketball, picks it up, still has a little turnaround good look.
Or Doug McDermott sitting in the corner going, "It's me, Doug."
Doing spirit fingers
Hi.
out there.
Like jazz hands.
Turnaround, little 10-footer, miss, comes off the rim, Nuggets win. And I got to tell you, losing by 1 to the Nuggets is not the end of the world. We even said, going in, you got to beat New Orleans. You can lose to the Nuggets. It's not, okay, you can lose to the Nuggets, but then you got to go start winning some games. And that's still the case.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they lost last night with De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, we got, what do you do in crunch time? Teams aren't going to be able to stop. Well, they also couldn't get any stops. And that's where the common thread of the night comes in, where they missed Keegan Murray badly on the defensive end.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But it just underscores how shallow they are at that spot, that when Keegan's not playing, they have no answers on defense specifically.
No.
They had nothing.
No, they don't have an answer when Keegan's not playing. Defensively, at the small forward spot, the power forward spot, they do not have an answer. And, like, God bless Jay Crowder. Like, he goes in there and tries to do his best. But, like, even a natural matchup problem, like, they kept looking at different players. And I think the one thing, like, over this stretch that we have learned, that Mike Brown, I think, has learned, and I think it is a blessing. And while he's not playing offensively very well at all, Colby Jones can guard up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something
For
that
sure.
all of a sudden the Kings are realizing that he can guard a 6'10" Michael Porter Jr. and hold his own.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been able to guard up repeatedly over the last couple of weeks, which is why he's been on the court. Now, does he deserve 18 minutes? I don't think so. But the fact is that he brought energy and he did some of the little things. And it just shines like the glaring problem that this roster has. It's the same problem they've had for 3 years, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're not asking them to reinvent the wheel. We're asking them to go out and do what every other team has done in the NBA. Go get a 6'7" to 6'9" small forward, power forward that can play defense and can hit a three.
Mm-hmm.
We say they don't grow on trees. They do grow on trees because everyone else has been able to pluck these off of trees everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a bevy of them and the Kings don't. And, you know, it's not even, the Kings don't even have like a Watson. They don't even have a Peyton Watson to come off the bench.
Good player, Peyton Watson.
Yeah. Well, no, he is a good player, but the fact that they don't even have like a third guy or a fourth guy that you can turn to is alarming. And it shows the glaring weakness of this roster. Now, look, you go out there and you let a team just thump you in 41-21 in the first quarter, but you come back and drop 47 on them in the second quarter.
Yeah.
47. So for everything that people want to say about how bad the Kings were in the first quarter, the Nuggets are saying the same thing about how bad they were in the second quarter.
Right.
And how this is part of our season and how we can't put away teams. And but I just felt like Mike Brown keeps harping on this. It's not about the offense. It's not. It's that the Denver Nuggets in the last 4 minutes of the game, you were up 119-109. In 4 minutes, they shot 7 of 7 from the field and 4 of 4 from the free throw line and scored 21 points in the last 4 minutes of a game because you couldn't get a stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it. You can't get a stop at the NBA level. It doesn't matter what your lead is. You can give it up.
That's it. That was the other thing that stuck out to me last night. We'll talk about, we'll dive further into the final play and we'll talk about Keegan and his ankle soreness. But the other thing that sticks out to me is in that second quarter, to me, Keon Ellis established himself as a player that just needs to play. I understand that he's going to make mistakes. And I fully get that maybe they're mistakes that are going to frustrate Mike Brown to the point where he's like, God, I want to take him off the court. But Keon came in and flipped the complexion of that game last night.
He had 5 blocks, dude.
He had 5 blocks. First guard in the, I think I saw, it was the first guard in the league to have 5 blocks this year.
Yeah, and it's his second time in his career, his 3-year career, that he's had 5 blocks.
He was a plus 16 in the second quarter and scored 3 points. Like that's where like a plus minus as a stat sticks out to me.
Oh yeah.
And he played the entire second quarter. Save for 1 second, according to Basketball Reference. So he's a plus 16, and just flip that script. We talked about how flat the Kings came out and looked. And then Keon came into the game, and a lot like he did last year, where, man, Keon entered the starting lineup, and the complexion of how the Kings win games just changed.
Well, they started winning games. I mean, I think they won his first 8 starts.
Yeah, right, because of, and it was like consensus that defensive energy is meaningful.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you saw it last night, where he just woke the Kings up out of whatever malaise they were in to start the game. So to me, I like I said, I know Keon Ellis isn't perfect, but his impact last night, specifically in a game without Keegan, where we say they don't have another Keegan, Keon's probably as close as you got. And to me, some nights it's going to be more minutes, some nights it's going to be less, but there can't be any more Keon DNPs.
No, I totally agree. And I got to be honest, for every minute that Doug McDermott plays, I want Keon Ellis there alongside him as, yin and yang. Like, one guy's going to shoot the 3 nonstop. Every time he touches a ball, he's going to shoot it. And the other guy's going to play defense. You have to have somebody that can defend if you're going to put Doug McDermott on the court. And I thought Doug did the best he could, but he's just like super undersized. I watched him walk out on the court for the tip-off, and he's lining up alongside Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. is like a legit 6'10".
Yeah, he is a tall person.
And broad-shouldered. As he's gotten older, he's gotten bigger. He's a bigger dude. And him standing next to Doug McDermott was like, well, that right there is a problem.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out. Like, what exactly are you supposed to do?
Right.
When, every single position on the court, they're 4 inches taller than you.
Yeah.
And that's just, you walked into that game, and that's the reality of your situation. And I thought that they did a very good job of competing. I thought Keon, again, did such a great job of competing and fighting and changing the defensive temperature in the room.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to figure out how to close out a game.
And that's why last night was so frustrating to me. If they had just lost 130 to 129, just kind of back and forth, and maybe Jamal Murray hits a shot late and the Kings just miss a 3 or whatever it was, now okay. But to come back the way you did, to be up 10 with 4 minutes to go.
Yep.
And this is supposed to be this offense that, man, what are you going to do in crunch time when guarding them? And the Nuggets didn't even have to guard last night. That's why that you're going to have physical mistakes, right? So I know in baseball, I don't know in other sports, but coach would say you can live with a physical mistake, you can't live with the mental ones.
Yeah.
So it's not like the Kings forgot to play or Sabonis turned it over or something like that. It was a physical mistake for DeMar DeRozan. But on the other hand, you feel really good about the Kings going into a situation where they're up 10 with 4 minutes to go. You feel good about a lot of teams in that situation. But there's so many options offensively. It's like, hey, you know what? There's nothing the Nuggets can do. The Nuggets can score every time, but the Kings are just going to score every time too. And the fact that they're smoking a 10-point lead inside of 4 minutes, I just can't. That's one I can't feel okay about. And that's why, despite the fact that we talked last week and we went, you can lose that one to the Nuggets. You can't lose that one the way it went.
I'm with you, and I could sense like the frustration after the game from Mike Brown.
Sure.
I thought when we got to the end of the game that we might get one of those. We dug a deep hole and somehow we found a way out of that hole. But we fought, and I'm proud of the guys for the effort they gave after that first quarter. I thought we might get that. No, it was like attention to detail, attention to detail, attention to detail. He's like, we got beat on the back cut more times tonight than we have the entire season combined.
It was brutal, dude.
And it's veteran players getting beat on a back cut again and again and again. Veteran players. It was not rookie or second-year players that don't know what they're doing. It was veterans getting burned on back cuts. Like, what are you doing? Like, the game plan was very specific. You look at their numbers, they're the number 1 assist team in the league and the number 1 2-point shooting team in the league. They shoot a ton of twos, and they shoot a high percentage of twos, and they average over 30 assists per game. Okay, you get it. They shoot 38% from three, but they're only shooting 30 a game. So you're not going to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's because all they do is back cut you. Like, the Kings knew the game plan coming in, and they gave up 76 points in the paint. 76. Now, I covered a game one time early in my career where the Denver Nuggets came into Sacramento with George Karl as a head coach. And I think they scored, it was either 91 or 92 points in the paint.
Did JaVale McGee have a huge game that game?
Yes.
It might have been there.
It was JaVale McGee, and it was Kosta Koufos, and it was like...
I think it was in December.
Yeah. Well, it was probably the last couple of weeks maybe it was the last week that Paul Westphal was a head coach. Either that or it was the year before. And Paul was just beside himself, just so embarrassed. Like, how do you get beat on the same exact play the entire game? They took like 2 total jumper. Well, they hit like 2 total jumpers, and they only took like 10 shots outside the paint. And that's what that game felt like last night.
That's tough.
I thought that there were so many points in that game last night where the Kings showed promise, but then also showed you who they have been this season. And like, the frustration level as a coach, like, I don't know how you explain a team that goes down 41-21 after first quarter and then goes out and scores 47 at this, like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? Like, how do you judge your team outside of the fact that you're just inconsistent? And that's it.
And that's where this is starting to get really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen teams before. It's not, again, this is not a season's over conversation. This is a disappointing start continues conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fact that we're still sitting here 27 games in now, talking about consistency, the thing about when you say consistency with a team, you mean playing well. And when you're inconsistently playing well, guess what that means?
You're inconsistent.
It means you're not very good.
It means you're not very good.
So when people go, well, man, you know what? The Jacksonville Jaguars would be better if they were more consistent. Oh, you mean just if they were good? Yeah. No, that's it. I agree. If they were good, they would be a better team for sure. Like that. That's what. So when you're inconsistent and it's night in, night out. Hey, look, here's these back-to-back really awesome performances against the Jazz and the.
Oh, who did they beat?
Who'd they score 140 against?
Oh
my God.
Oh no. Well, they beat the Spurs.
The Spurs. It was the Spurs. They
Okay.
beat the hell out of the Spurs. The Spurs and then the Jazz.
Okay.
You have 2 like awesome games. Yeah, you love to see it. And then you come back and it's not. It's not. It hasn't snowballed where they've in a good way.
Yeah.
Where they've won 5, 6, 7 in a row. Where you can afford to, okay, yeah, you dropped one. It's okay. Like, every loss feels magnified right now because they can't string together wins.
Well, that and like someone put out the stat last night. I think it was Matt George put out the stat. The Kings have been in 11 games that are decided by 5 points or less, and they're 3-8 in those games. And that was supposed to be the strength of this team.
That was, yes.
The strength of this team is that you have 2 of the best closers in the game, and realistically 3 of the best closers in the game when you throw Malik Monk in there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't figure out a way to close a game. And to me, so many times this season, it just felt like you went with the wrong guy in the wrong moment. Like, you felt like, oh, well, we've got to get it to our closer. And it was the wrong closer. You're like, okay, why did you do that? Like, why is it that you were like riding the hot hand throughout the first, 8 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then you went away from that?
Really weird.
Yeah. And, I'm even looking at like their expected win total from Basketball Reference right now. 16-11. They're 13-14 on the season.
Brutal, man.
Expected win total. So it's just absolutely crazy. 16-11, just so people know, that would put you at the number 5 seed in the Western Conference.
Where is? Give me 1 second. I need to find the point differential stuff is insane for the Kings. because they are, I believe. Before I say this, give me 1 second.
ESPN always has the point differential in the standings.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Okay, here we go. So of the Kings are a +3, and they are 13 and 14. The other teams that are under 500,
so Portland
-2.5 in the East. The Hawks -2.5, Pacers -2.9, Bulls -3. They're all within a game of the Kings. All minus. Yeah. Detroit Pistons -3.2. You go to the West. San Antonio 13 and 13 -2. Lakers 14 and 12 -3.5.
Yeah, it's wild.
The Nuggets are +2.7 points per game, and they're 14 and 10. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense how they keep losing tight games. I mean, and again, so many close games this season, and the fact that you can't, you know what you need to do in that situation? You need to strip it down and go, okay, we're going back to who we were last year, who we were the year before. We got one guy who's going to handle the ball primarily in these situations. That one player is De'Aaron Fox, and if somebody else takes a shot, that's fine, but it's because Fox gave it to you.
Yeah,
that's it. Like the confusion in the last 5 minutes of a game or 4 minutes of the game. Again, I thought the play was spectacular. Fox got double teamed. He finds Sabonis. Yep. Sabonis instantly runs right at the rim. Two guys collapse. He throws a perfect bounce pass to DeMar DeRozan, who had just gone baseline and dunked on them maybe a minute before, 45 seconds before, goes right at the rim and fumbles the ball. Even when he recovers, there's not a player in the league I want taking an 8-foot jump shot outside more than I want DeMar DeRozan taking it in that situation. Just miss a shot. That's it. You missed a shot, but you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation. One defensive stop, you're not in that situation. Two defensive stops, you're winning handily by 3 or 4 points down the stretch. Not handily, but you're winning the game without it being like a pressure situation. You just couldn't get a stop. And part of the reason is because you had no Keegan Murray, but also part of the reason is in the final couple of minutes, you're trying to score because they're scoring. And so you're going away from some of your defensive players in that moment. You know, of course, you're going to choose offensive guy over a defensive guy because that's what the last couple of minutes of a game usually go down to.
And that's where when this is, and this is again, a little bit of a Keegan Murray thing with him not playing. But the clutch time thing is a two-way street. And that inability to get a stop, and maybe it's just the Nuggets are a tough matchup because of their size, and they can take advantage of DeMar DeRozan in ways other teams can't. I'll hear that. But this is where, like, defense does matter. At least a little bit.
Oh, it matters.
The Nuggets got a lot of good looks last night, late in that game. And you just have to you have to. There's going to be nights where shots don't fall. There's going to be nights where DeMar DeRozan uncharacteristically mishandles a pass and then misses a shot that he hits 75% of the time.
Yep.
That's going to happen.
If he didn't drop the ball, it's a wide open dunk. And
right.
You know, again, I don't know how much time is left with that dunk. But you know, they would have had probably, I don't know,
they'd had a couple of seconds,
2.8 seconds or something.
Sure. Couple of I'll play. I think the right play was made there.
Oh, I think so.
Devil's advocate, just for a second. Devil doesn't need any more advocates, but I'll do it. I don't know how I feel about Fox giving up the ball so early. I don't. That's one where if somebody says, "Well, Fox should have the ball in his hand," like, okay, I have a hard time pushing back against that.
Okay, and like for me to play devil's advocate to your devil's advocate, I would say when I look at the box score and I see 28 points for Domantas Sabonis, 25 points for Malik Monk, I see 17 points for DeMar DeRozan, 16 points for Doug McDermott, all of them shooting close to 50% from the field. Like, I don't care who's taking the shot. If it's the right shot, it's the right shot.
Sure.
And I get it. Fox is the guy. But Fox wasn't the best player the entire night last night.
Mhm.
And there were other players like, man, I don't know if anybody else caught this, but Jokic wanted no part of that Sabonis matchup. He was so tired of getting beat up.
Mhm.
He wanted zero part of that matchup late in the game.
Mhm.
Sabonis got into his chest, and Jokic just started backing off. Like,
Yeah.
dude, go ahead and do your thing. You don't need to like pop me with your right shoulder every single time because I'm just gonna get out of the way now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you were at in that game.
Mhm.
Like, I would have been okay with Sabonis taking the shot. And
That's the other aspect of this is just go up with it. I don't
I get
you don't have to make the pass every single time.
No, but he saw everyone collapsing on him. Like I saw what he saw. Like you had Jokic there, but Gordon and Porter were collapsing. And it was the right play, and it was a perfect play. All he had to do is go up with him. He might have had to clutch and dunk it, but at the same time, you're looking at a guy who's a career like 87% free throw shooter. You think he's either getting the score, or he's getting an and one, or he's going to the line and he's going to hit both. And again, the point I was going to make there, the Kings shot 19 of 20 from the free throw line last night. Like there's so many aspects of the game that they did do right. And even in that situation, that's where you're okay with DeMar DeRozan. To have DeRozan catch the ball, fumble the dribble after catching the ball was like stunning.
Yeah.
And then to recover and still miss and barely miss, it's just like, it was heartbreaking.
It's
like
tough.
I think watching Sabonis last night, probably the most emotional I've ever seen him in a game. He was yelling and screaming and pounding his chest every time he made a pass to one of his teammates that scored a bucket. Like he was so into that game. And I can imagine today that dude can probably hardly walk.
Yeah, he's hurting.
The fall he took, I cannot believe he finished that game.
Yeah.
But
that had like cracked rib, fractured rib, something all over it.
Oh yeah.
Like the way he fell and the way he was like trying to loosen up.
He sat courtside in some people that I know seat. He was just sitting there for like 3 minutes while they stopped.
I've never seen that in my life, by the way.
Where he just sat courtside, like
didn't make it to the bench.
He didn't make it to the bench.
Just went, I'm gonna sit there.
I'm gonna sit right. It was right where he fell, and it's right underneath the basket, and probably 15 feet away from their bench.
Yeah, it's the baseline seats. Yeah. It was so
you can see my boys wearing Kings Beach shirts, sweatshirts all the time right there.
So funny. Yeah, couldn't make it to the bench. I was certain. I'm like, oh, he's done. He's not coming back in this game.
Oh no, and I thought he might be out for like a week or two. Like
I'm
going cartilage
yes.
injury. That could be all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Oh, he was.
Which it might still be.
Yeah.
He might have just got
like
it out.
The whole rest of the game. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it hurts.
Yeah, certainly didn't feel good. All right, we'll keep diving into this game last night because the Keegan Murray of all this is the wing depth of all this is the overarching theme of the night, and we'll continue discussing that. Monday Night Football took place last night. Don't blame me if you missed it, but I had one big takeaway from that. We'll discuss. We've got some 49er stuff from over the weekend. We've got mad props. And also coming up a little bit later, I have an insane NBA stat that I'm obsessed with to the point that I'm checking it every single day.
Uh-oh.
And we'll get into that as well. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. We're hanging out with you till noon. And this is ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader.
Russ Dog, I don't know if it was his elbow. I'm pretty sure it was his upper back. Like, I mean, and it looked like he almost hit his head. He may have hit his head, but I wasn't sure. Spencer asked Kyle, how was it meeting Lindsay Lohan? Right in the middle of a bite.
What an actress. What a person. Wow.
No. I mean, maybe. But in all honesty, I think it's more that they're trying to get a team to bite on what they're offering. So. And just so people know, Taro was that Sean said that he sat down by Taro, that Domas sat down next to him. Taro is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. He's just a super like fun human being. He's like just a very nice person. So if you ever get a chance to meet Taro from Makuni, he is spectacular. Usually his wife follows around and takes pictures when they're here at our studio, but I've known Taro for a long time. Mark Wong, that would be nearly impossible to get both. In separate deals, like if they were on the same team, if you did a 3-team deal, maybe. But the problem that you have there is you're talking about two players on really bad teams, and really bad teams want draft capital, and the Kings don't have a lot of that, and I don't think they're going to give up a first round for Collins and a first round for Valanciunas. We also figured out yesterday that the Kings don't really have any second round picks to trade, which I hadn't realized before. It's an ugly scene. So their 2025 second round pick goes to Chicago. Their 28 goes to Chicago. Their 30 goes to Indiana, and their 31 goes to San Antonio. So the only pick that they really have is the 29 pick, because the 26 and 27 are tied up in the Kevin Huerter deal. So they have 1 second round pick. Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone knows the Kings are shopping, but they also have been shopping for 5 years and don't make a lot of trades.
Well,
I can tell you, I would hate to be a player that gets mentioned all the time. Like, I know that's where it got to with Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes was like, "Come on." Like, he actually told media relations, I'm not going to talk to the media until after the trade deadline. And it was like December. He's like, I'm good. Patrick Garvin, I do not think that Mike has lost the locker room at all.
If Mike Brown had lost the locker room, they're losing last night by 40.
Yeah, team doesn't come back from a 41-21 first quarter deficit.
How early do the Kings need to make a trade?
2 months ago.
Huh.
Before the season started.
Yeah, the urgency right now, like, it doesn't need to happen tomorrow, but the further away the play-in teams get. We're right now 14 and 11 is the 6th seed.
Hey, we're gonna pull this up. We'll
back.
talk about this when we talk about Kings. We have a little segment. We're going to talk about some of this, but this is a good question, Chris.
Let's save that one. Oh boy.
The crazy thing too is the Kings look so overmatched, just like physicality and size wise in the first quarter. But then to see that same exact lineup be able to do something else, something totally different, was like, okay.
All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham's there. I'm Kyle. We're hanging out with you till noon. I have a question for everybody. What are you doing on January 6th?
I don't know.
We're giving away tickets to a Kings game. That's what we're doing. The Kings host the Miami Heat on January 6th, and we want to send you to Golden One Center for that game. It's super easy to enter. You just go online to ESPN1320.com. We'll pick 5 winners, and it doesn't get any easier than this. You go to ESPN1320.com.
Okay.
You enter at the contest page, and you will be entered to win a pair of tickets to the Heat versus the Kings on January 6th at the Golden One Center. Tickets courtesy of the Sacramento Kings. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I might go to that one.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. Is that a Friday? Saturday?
I think I'll be there.
I would imagine. If you're not, means a small calamity has happened.
Something's happened.
January 6th is a Monday. Ooh. Interesting. Anyways. There was Monday Night Football last night. Here's my takeaway. Because there were 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Vikings against the Bears, not an interesting game. And the Falcons against the Raiders, also not an interesting game. Kirk Cousins stinks. Now he's toast. I used to be not a Kirk Cousins like defender because I never felt like he was great. But also I think people talked about him like he was Nathan Peterman.
Oh yeah.
And he's definitely better than that. He's a really, really effective player and has been for a long time.
Last season he was great until he hurt himself.
Yeah, man, he was cooking.
Yeah.
So I don't think Kirk Cousins sucks, but also I've not been on like, oh, that team has Kirk Cousins, they're a Super Bowl contender.
No,
at all. Like not even a little bit. But Cousins last night against the Raiders goes 11 of 17 for 112 yards, a touchdown and an interception. And he's done, dude. And the reason this matters, and by the way, in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, he has 9 interceptions and 1 touchdown.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Leading the league with 16 interceptions this year in 14 games. He has 18 touchdowns.
Oh, he had 18 touchdowns before he got hurt last year through like 6 games.
Yes. He's cooked.
Oh, man.
He was already not super mobile. Now he's even less so after the Achilles injury. You can tell his arm strength is not the same.
We can't step into a ball like he could before.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough.
So here's why this matters. Because if he was playing okay and the Falcons just went, hey, we're going to go the Michael Penix route. We're going to hand the keys to him. We're going to cut Kirk Cousins. The Kyle Shanahan, Kirk Cousins thing would matter. It would come up again. And with the Purdy contract stuff looming, Kirk Cousins would have been a major part of the 49ers offseason discussion. So, and I was ready for it. I was fully prepared for because Cousins had, in a win over Dallas, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and completed 79% of his throws. That was on November 3rd. That gave him, how many touchdowns did I say he had? 18?
18 on the season.
That gave him 17 touchdowns through 9 weeks.
Oh, 60 picks. Jeez.
And I went, man, this Kirk Cousins thing might be real. If the Falcons move on, he's horrible. I'm out. Not a good player anymore. That was my big takeaway from last night.
Yeah, with the, like, to point out the bigger issue too is Bijan Robinson 14 games played, Drake London 14 games played, Darnell Mooney 14 games played, Ray McLeod, their third wide receiver, 14 games played, Kyle Pitts, their tight end, 14 games played. He's had all of his all of his weapons.
Yes.
Every single game.
Every game.
All weapons.
Drake London.
Yeah, all of them are there. Yeah, Drake London, 919 yards, 78 receptions, 7 touchdowns. He's been good. Not great, but good. Like, all of them have been healthy. Like, what happened? Like, you were wandering around, like, having a perfectly good season, and then, boom, like, you got hit in the head with a sledgehammer.
I have no idea what happened.
Yeah. Brutal.
lose to New Orleans, get blown out by Denver, lose to the Chargers, get blown out by Minnesota, beat the Raiders.
Well,
good for them. They're now 7-7.
At least there's the Raiders out there.
Yeah, 7-7. DeAndre Campbell was officially suspended yesterday by the 49ers after quitting on them Thursday night. We didn't get a chance to talk about this together.
Yeah. I'm sure you've talked about this a lot on the Candlestick Chronicles.
Yeah, talked about it a lot, written about it a lot. Just insane. We've seen a player retire at halftime.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so rare that a player goes, nah, I'm not going to play today. And just leaves.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for another shoe to drop. I kept waiting for there to be more. I kept waiting for he had this injury or this thing happened in his life. Nope. Just had his feelings hurt that he wasn't going to play. And we got a report over the weekend from Jake Glazer from Fox Sports that said it was John Lynch who kicked Campbell off the sideline.
Oh.
Like John Lynch came down from the suite that he watches games from.
Oh.
And his alter ego, Red 47, quote unquote, came out. And Jay Glazer said players called him after the game and was like, yo, that guy's insane. John Lynch. So I can't only imagine what was said between those two guys. But here's what John Lynch had to say publicly in a statement yesterday when the 49ers announced that DeAndre Campbell is suspended. Quote, we have suspended DeAndre Campbell for 3 games due to conduct detrimental to the team. We will have no further comment on the matter. That's the end of it.
The end.
They hate this dude.
Well, not only that, but you suspend him so you can, number one, fine him.
Mm-hmm.
You can take away his game checks.
Yes.
On top of that, you can start recouping some of his guaranteed, his $5 million salary on the season.
He won't. So I believe the max you can fine a player is 4 game checks.
Okay.
I think that's what I saw. Plus he'll miss game checks for the missed time.
Yeah.
Plus he's probably not going to get to the 70% snap incentive that he had in his contract.
Okay.
That was going to pay him some 6-figure number.
Ooh.
Couple $100,000.
Okay. Well, this was a poor decision by him.
Right.
Well, plus the other thing they did is they said, hey, we're going to suspend you instead of cut you. So you can't go just join the Detroit Lions and go try to win a Super Bowl.
Which I don't know what team would want him.
No, but there might be some team that needs him.
Sure.
I mean, like the injuries this weekend were, especially for the Lions,
so rough, man.
Oh man, just you just feel for them. I mean, defensive lineman, a cornerback, and a star running back.
They have, I believe, 15 defensive players on IR right now. Dude, that's why the whole Kyle Shanahan conversation. And, he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, so he has to be fired now. That's why I can't get there, because winning the Super Bowl is so freaking hard. The Lions have been the best team in the league for, most of the year. And they might just not have enough dudes to win the Super Bowl. Like, they might not be able to reach the level that they need to reach because, you know what, they're just not healthy enough. And that's not anything on the players. That's not anything on the coaching. That is football being a brutal sport. And guys get hurt. And oftentimes the Super Bowl is a war of attrition. And you have David Montgomery go down. Aleem McNeil went down. Carlton Davis went down.
It's just brutal. Like
three. If you're not super locked in with the Lions, Aleem McNeil is like their best defensive lineman remaining.
Yeah, because
Carlton
Aiden Hutchinson has been out for
weeks.
Months at this point.
And Carlton Davis is like their number 1 corner. I'm sure someone could nitpick that. He's one of their top 2 corners.
Okay.
And David Montgomery is one of their 2-headed monster at running back. Done for the year. Season-ending MCL surgery. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's just, man.
I was very confused with the reporting. Like, I watched, I think it was Ian Rappaport, goes on, and like the video clip is, and to make matters worse, they just signed David Montgomery to a 2-year, $18 million extension. It's like, why does that matter? Like, he's going to be there for the 2-year, $18 million. Like, why does that matter in this conversation? You just lost a running back who was very good.
Yeah. I guess long-term, you're worried about production, but 2 years and $18 million is not going to make or break the Lions.
Well, no, and you should have paid him either way.
Yeah,
like he's been a great player for you all season long. I mean, like, did you see the stat line that was floating yesterday?
No.
On the season, his yardage, rushing yardage, prop was 775.5.
Oh no.
0.5. 775.5 for the season. He finished with 775.
No way.
That's what was floated yesterday, the prop bet.
No way.
Yes way.
I'm cross-checking this. Did you cross-check this?
I didn't.
Did you fact-check this?
I didn't fact-check it. All I know is that's what was put out by one of the betting websites yesterday.
Dave Montgomery. Rushing yards. It might have been 775 at one book.
Yeah. Like preseason, that was his preseason number. I'm just saying, I think it was Bet Shark or someone like that put it out. Either way, like for those out there, that's a bad beat.
That's really rough.
Sorry if you had.
If that's the case, that is brutal.
If you had the over on David Montgomery's rushing,
because you don't even have the he's done for the year. You don't even have the hope of like, oh, maybe he can get in a game and try it out and get a yard for me. Ooh,
no,
I hate that, man.
You know who I don't hate it for though?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
The Swift, Kirk, and the Dickers.
Yeah, nobody cares.
We're going. We've advanced in the playoffs. People.
We have. We sure have. And if we win our league, we're gonna buy drinks
somewhere.
We're gonna have a tab somewhere.
That's right.
And we're gonna invite everybody.
And we do have Jahmyr Gibbs. That's why it's a good thing for us.
That's big time.
It is big time. For
big
us.
thing. Big time for us and whoever wants to come get drinks if we win.
That's right.
Shout out. Or food. If you're like, I'm not a drinker, but you know what? I'll take some potato skins. Like, yeah, for sure. Have some potato skins. Why not? On the DeAndre Campbell thing, one of the things that stuck out to me about that entire situation, well, the fact that it's blown up the way it has is kind of funny to me. He's a very middle of the road player toward the end of his career, deciding not to play in a game that, I guess it mattered technically, but like they're not going to the playoffs. So, but the fact it was on Thursday night and it was all anybody had to talk about on Friday, I think blew it out of proportion. But I do think it's really interesting the way the 49ers locker room reacted.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you have questions, like somebody in the chatty house, youtube.com/ESPN1320 and twitch.tv/ESPN1320, they said, hey, has Mike Brown lost the locker room? It's like, no, you can tell when a coach loses a locker room, you won't have to ask. There will be things that happen and you go, oh, that's what happened. Like, that's what that looks like. And people were asking that about Kyle Shanahan, like, oh man, maybe he just lost the locker room. If that was the case, the consensus to a player who has spoken about this publicly wouldn't be, we don't do that here. That is not what this is. That is not what we're about. That's not what this team is about. Like, it was spoken from a very, like, we're a family and we're a brotherhood and you turned your back on us. You're done. We're done. Jay Glazer said it in his report on Fox on Sunday on the pregame show. Even if DeAndre Campbell wanted to come back and apologize, the players want no parts of him. They want nothing to do with him. So the fact that that was the consensus to me was a very clear sign that, hey, you know what? This whole everything's awful in Santa Clara and they're all done here and everybody knows they're done and the Shanahan era is over. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's how they would have reacted if it was.
No, I mean, Lenore came out and just blasted him. Yeah. Blasted Campbell yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, called him a locker room cancer.
Yeah.
Like he went at him.
Yeah.
All of those guys have taken turns. Yeah, this is a team that's pulled together and said, no. That's not going to be part of who we are.
And it doesn't matter for this year. They're not a playoff team this year.
No.
It doesn't fix that they've been terrible this year. But when you start looking toward next season, it makes you feel a little bit better about next season than if they'd just been like, well, guess they didn't want to play. Me neither. Like, I get it. We're not in the playoff. Like, if there had been that kind of reaction, that's when you know.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Well,
that's all I've got on DeAndre.
But the problem too is that you ended up losing that game 12-6, right? Isn't that what it was?
That's exactly what it was.
It was 12-6.
Pathetic.
It was a horrible game, but like you had a linebacker who said, "I'm not going to play the whole second half." Like it's possible that you could have helped. It's possible that you could have won that game and somehow stayed alive just a smidgen, but no.
What a clown.
Yeah,
What an absolute clown.
I agree.
Like I don't want to rehash the whole thing. You knew what you were here for. You came here to replace Dre Greenlaw. When Dre Greenlaw came back, you were going to go to the bench.
It's not some.
Welcome to the NFL, dog.
Yeah, it's not some crazy.
And he hadn't been playing so great that it's like, man, can't take this guy off the field. Like, no, he was mid. He was mid to bad.
The whole first 4 weeks of the season, I was blaming him every week for the 49ers being bad.
He had the huge pass interference against the Rams.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Week 3.
So many times I was like, I can't believe how bad this guy is.
How many plays was he a step late or didn't set the edge?
Took a bad angle.
Dude, just
just
the audacity.
Come on, bro.
Audacity. Anyways.
I can't believe we have to rehash this.
DeAndre Campbell's season's over.
It is. I think his career's over, but
I think so too.
Yeah. See ya.
I don't think he's just not good enough. Nobody's going to be like, yeah, we'll take a flyer on that guy.
No.
He didn't know. He's a jerk. And if we take him off the field, he might quit on us.
No.
There's certain things like there is a mindset in football. And quitting on your team is like the thing you don't do.
I think there's a mindset in every sport that way.
Yeah.
But football very specifically. If you decide not to play anymore, when you're in high school or something, and you have a good reason, your friends and that you've
no doubt
played with for years will understand.
Yeah.
I have a buddy who decided, hey, I'm not going to play my senior year because I'm a firefighter and I'm going to be a firefighter for my career, and I don't want to have an injury in my senior year of high school football that limits who I can be going forward. We got you.
And if DeAndre Campbell had said, and I'm sorry to rehash this, I just haven't gotten to talk about it on the radio yet. If he had said before the game, I'm not going to play tonight. Don't suit me up. Suit up somebody else.
Yeah.
Then fine. All right. Kind of a silly move, but whatever. But to take a roster spot.
Yeah.
And put the 49ers in a position. And apparently Nick Bosa said he was chirping before the game that he wasn't going to play.
Oh.
And he was making a big deal about it before the game.
That's the worst.
And Bosa said he didn't want to. Nick Bosa said he didn't want to create a distraction. And didn't want to bring this up. So Campbell was chirping that he wasn't going to play. And he told coaches in the second quarter that he wasn't going to go in and all this other stuff. You could have just not played. And it still would have been looked down upon for not wanting to play.
Uh-huh.
But it would have been different. It would have been like, it
would have been hidden. It would have been masked. Whatever.
Yeah, it would have been a healthy scratch, and Shanahan would have gotten asked after the game, hey, why didn't DeAndre Campbell play? I didn't want to suit up tonight.
Yeah.
And there would have been a discourse, but it would have been less so than what this is. They had to put Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who was hurt, who was playing hurt. They had to put him on the field.
They would have
put someone else's career in jeopardy.
They would have buried why he didn't play. They would have, because that's what teams do. For whatever reason, that's what they do, unless they're trying to send a very distinct message. I mean, Manchester United this weekend in the biggest game of the year against Man City. It's the derby, right? They literally told Marcus Rashford and Garnacho that they weren't playing. And not only were they not playing, they weren't even suiting up.
Wow.
It's like, okay, you're out this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why? We didn't like the way you trained. We don't like the body language. Sure. Like everything else, you need to get in line. We got a new coach, and if you're not going to get in line, then you're just going to sit at home and watch.
Yeah.
So there is that happens, but in this situation, he just left his team high and dry. Yeah. I hope he doesn't play again in the league.
I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Speaking of things being over, the 49ers, according to ESPN, their playoff hopes aren't officially over. It's still less than 0.1% or whatever it is.
How?
But they're done. The postseason hopes, regardless of what the math says, they're over. They've been over for a couple of weeks, but that's a separate thing. I moved on to the draft. where I'm now locked into what the draft order looks like. And the Falcons win last night was a big one. Moved the 49ers from 16th to 15th. Their problem is, and again, we've talked about this before, that strength of schedule tiebreaker.
Yeah.
The 49ers strength of schedule is so good that they're gonna quote unquote win any tiebreaker and fall to the lower pick, the worst pick.
Okay.
So I'll be watching very closely. The 49ers lose in Miami. There's a bunch of other 6 and 8 teams that they win. The Niners could be up near the top 10.
I'm intrigued by this.
I don't think the thing is they're not. The players want to go. The players are not in a space, I don't think, and the team I don't think is in a space where they're like, yeah, hey, we want to go. We want to lose out. We want to go 6 and 11 because they've got an eye toward next year. You got guys trying to play for snaps. You got guys trying to play for jobs. You're still trying to assess what Brock Purdy's worth. So I don't think we're going to see them tank in the traditional sense. And I think there's too much pride with their locker room, especially now that this DeAndre Campbell thing has happened. I don't think they're just going to lay down. I think you're going to see them try really, really hard to win these next 3. Whether they do or not, nah. TBT.
TBD.
Brian Baldinger today on 95.7 The Game with Bonte and Chasky on the Morning Roast said that right now he would flip Purdy for Sam Darnold.
Okay. Like I don't know what to say about that. I mean, you're looking at a quarterback.
Okay, I'll say something. That's silly.
Yeah, that's to me. I mean, you're looking at a guy who is in his 3rd NFL season, who's still growing, who had the best running back in the NFL, his number 1 wide receiver all go down, and his number 2 wide receiver just decide he's not very good at football anymore, and his number 3 wide receiver, he got shot in the chest. Like,
Juwan Jennings is number 3, but yeah.
Well, yeah, they're number 4.
Their first round pick.
Yeah, their first round pick. So, like, look, there are reasons why Brock Purdy hasn't had a good season, but I also, like, you can't make excuses for him. He has not stepped up.
No.
But Sam Darnold had like 3 years as a bad quarterback in the league to do this, and I don't know.
And Sam Darnold has had Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson has now come back, and they have Aaron Jones, and they have a really, really freaking awesome defense.
Yeah.
If you flipped Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy, I don't think the numbers for each respective quarterback would also flip with them.
No. I mean, Sam Darnold's on a very good team, and he's been good.
He's been awesome.
Yeah,
here's what Sam Darnold's been better than Brock Purdy this year. Like Bart, like flat out.
Oh no,
I will not argue that.
Yeah,
but I think if you switch their situations, I think you'd want to flip them back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because that's how Brock is always judged. Well, if somebody else was in Brock's situation, what would they look like? So, I mean, in this situation, we have to have the same exact degree of like comparison. Like, okay, like look, if you're going to compare Sam Darnold to Brock Purdy, like let's switch it last year where they were both on the same team and one of them was starting and he threw for almost 4,400 yards and 31 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He just went through a season where his entire like specialty group just was hurt.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I just don't think that the 49ers would have improved this year if Sam Darnold was their quarterback instead of Brock Purdy. That's all.
Yeah.
And I think the Vikings are probably about the same. And I don't think that's crazy. They're the same tier of quarterback to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the situation with the way the situation has impacted Purdy, I think it would have impacted Darnold the same way.
Of course.
Anyways,
I totally
shout out
agree.
to Balding. Love Brian Baldinger. Disagree with him on that take. We got some other 49ers reporting from over the weekend. We will get to that. We'll have some. We'll get to 6 quick thoughts. We'll dive into the Kings game from last night as well. Did last night move the needle for you in terms of the urgency to make a trade? We'll talk about that next. That's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insiders. Hour number 2 coming up in a second here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center. Hang on one second, guys. And we're back.
And we're back. Let's see. How are you doing on your Christmas shopping there, Kyle?
Okay.
I'm a little behind. Yes. Zach, that was an incredible finish. Super fun. City has a lot of problems. I don't even know. And I was embarrassed for why am I drawing blank? Their star right back. City, who flopped in like a pathetic way.
I might.
Kyle Walker, my bad. Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Mitch. Phone lines are open, dog.
Watch this, Kyle. He goes down. Luckily, and then he holds his head for like
Soccer so fun.
Come on. They both got yellows for that situation.
Yeah, that was funny. You just showed me the replay.
Come on, man. Yes, the headbutt, Jay Oliphant. Okay. I want to start this. Like, this seems to be part of our discussion, too. On paper, yes, this is one of the best teams the Kings have had, but on paper, they still have a giant hole. Like, or like if this is a regular standard piece of binder paper, the 3-hole punch, like those holes still exist in this team. So even if on paper the Kings have one of their best rosters, that doesn't mean that they don't have like an
They're
obvious.
a little top heavy.
Yeah, I mean, just like the 49ers top heavy. We talked about it coming into the season. The lack of depth is what's killed the 49ers more than anything else. Well, injuries to stars, but the lack of depth overall.
Yep.
And this happens all the time. There are top heavy teams all the time. I agree that both Manchester teams have been terrible. Damn it. Damn it, Drew Down. How much time do we have? I'm going to go off on one other thing really quick.
You have 15 seconds.
Okay, my guy, Will Z, wrote this really interesting article about whether Keon Ellis should be included in a trade and his, whatever. There's someone else who took that, ran it through a AI and recreated the same exact article and posted it.
Yes.
Embarrassing.
So is it Athlon Sports?
Yes.
Okay. Can you send me that article?
I'll look for it.
Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Yeah, writers got to be vigilant these days, man.
Yeah, pretty stunning.
It's had that happen a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like I said, send that to me. We're having a little bit of a, not we, James and I, a mutual friend is having a little bit of an AI problem.
Yeah.
Send it legit. I know people there who are working on that very thing.
Oh, yeah.
So let me know.
I mean, it was pretty clear.
Yeah. It's not, everybody knows it.
And maybe it was
They're just trying to hammer down where it's coming from and who it is so they can eradicate it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're salute to the, I don't want to throw people under the bus. Salute to whoever it is we're talking about. Anyways.
Yeah.
Want to get to 6 quick thoughts? Get back into the Kings?
Okay.
All right. Kings, 129, or lost last night, 130 to 129 to the Nuggets. And here's James Ham's 6 quick thoughts.
How'd yesterday's Kings game go?
Not
Kings
great.
insider James Ham has 6 notes you need to know. Here are James Ham's 6 quick thoughts.
Oh, yeah. James Ham, 6 quick thoughts. Number 1.
That first quarter is totally unacceptable. Watching a team just look disengaged and overmatched. Like, the problem is that when you put up 47 points in the second quarter, you show that you could actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so to go down 20 in the first quarter, I think they trailed by as many as 23.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just like, you should not have your home crowd booing in the first quarter.
That's tough.
It is tough. Well, yeah, but people are paying premium dollar to go to a game.
I'm not blaming anybody who booed last night. Go for it.
I agree.
It was a tough look for the Kings that they played to the level that people in Sacramento.
Yeah,
people in Sacramento, but this is not New York. This is not Philly. You get booed in Sac?
Yeah.
You got to do, and I thought it was warranted last night.
Oh, no.
I do not blame anyone that threw a boo on the court last night.
Oh, no, I fully agree. Totally warranted. And then to see them turn it around and be so good in the second quarter with the same group. I mean, yeah. Okay. Keon Ellis played like the whole quarter, but and Colby Jones played in that quarter a bunch of minutes too. But that just
the coming out flat in games is now a season plus long trend.
Yeah,
they do that way too often.
Like, you got a game that night.
And it's good teams, it's bad teams.
They hadn't played since what, Thursday?
Must-win games.
They have 4 days off to get ready for that game. And
back-to-backs.
The last time they had a bunch of days off, the same thing. You come out, you're like, oh, we're just flat. Sorry about that.
It doesn't make any sense to me, man.
Yeah, really.
But you're right.
Really
unacceptable is the right word. Number 2.
Sabonis was a star.
Yeah, he was.
Like, I know there was an article by Baxter Holmes that came out yesterday about Sabonis and his dad, and Michael Malone even had a smart ass comment at the end of his pregame yesterday about Sabonis being the most, I think, the best passing big man in the game, and then he smacked the table. He was basically quoting the article, and he thinks he has the best passing big man in the game, but like, Jokic wanted none of that smoke.
Yeah.
And I thought Sabonis was spectacular. And to see him lose a game where he gritted through and fought through and like had a horrific fall and still play that well and put up 28 points and 14 rebounds and 6 assists. Like,
he was really good last night.
We can't get desensitized to how good Domantas Sabonis is.
Yeah, I loved the aggressiveness going to the basket, because Jokic is a player. He's not and there might be metrics that disagree with this, but this is where I view Jokic defensively. He's in the Steph Curry realm, where not like a god-awful defender, but you can take advantage of him defensively in the right matchups. Yeah, like, you're not worried about him defensively necessarily.
The advanced statistics say he's actually a really good defender, but it's because of the defense and how he's surrounded and how they protect him.
That's kind of right. That's what, when you watch, that's kind of what I've gotten.
Yeah.
And it was just really clear last night that anytime Sabonis wanted to get in the lane and put his shoulder down and get to the basket, he could.
Yep.
And I love that he took 20 shots. He could have taken 25.
Mm-hmm.
But he was outstanding last night.
I thought so.
Really, really good. Number 3.
Malik Monk brought the fire in the third. Like, he had 15 points in the third quarter, finished with 26, with 6 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 blocks. Like, look, the Malik Monk in the starting lineup thing, is so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like at least they're fun to watch at this point. I know people are frustrated, but man, like going for like 120 something every night, 129, 130, 140. Like it's probably who they have to be. But if they're not going to get stops in crunch time, then it doesn't matter how many points they score.
Correct.
And that's always going to be Mike Brown's point. But last night was on full display. You put up 129 and lost by 1.
Brutal.
You put up 125 earlier, like 2 weeks ago, and lost 125 to 127. If you're not going to play defense, if you cannot get stops when it counts, you're going to lose.
That's it. You don't need to be elite defensively.
Nope.
You need to be able to come up with, instead of the Nuggets going 7 for 7 down the stretch, can you make them go 5 for 7?
Yeah.
Still not great, but it's a little better. The thing with Malik, there's two things that really, really stuck out to me last night. One, the arena just pops different when he does something. When he hits the go-ahead 3,
oh yeah,
it's louder than when anybody else does it.
Of course.
And that's something that jumps out to me. Number 2, he aesthetically is one of my like 3 favorite players in the league to watch.
Oh yeah.
Steph is obviously up there. I really like watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander play basketball. He is aesthetically one of my favorite players to watch. And Malik's there too, man. Just the way he moves around the court, the control that he's out of control sometimes, but when he's under control, like he was last night, it's just a really, really freaking good player. And I enjoy the way he goes about his business.
What I love about him is that you want to look at him as a score first guard, and he's really not.
No.
And so the whole time you're waiting for this score first guy to like just blow up and take over. But when he does it, it's always at the right time, and it always feels meaningful. And there are nights where he can't shoot a shot, right? He's not hitting the ball. He's not hitting, but he always brings something else.
Finished with, I have him down here for 10 assists last night.
Oh, did they bump it up to 10 assists?
Yeah,
after?
25 and 10.
Yeah, they keep doing stuff like that. Oh, they did. They gave him oh no, I'm looking at Westbrook. I'm looking at the official game box, and they gave him an extra assist after the game.
Yeah, but just the way, like you said, he'll run that like 2-man game with Sabonis, where instead of just turning the corner, putting his head down and throwing up a wild shot, it's a quick little no-look dish. Sabonis open 15-footer, cash. Like, it's just a really, really fun style of basketball to watch. He's just a hooper.
Yeah,
that's it.
When the Kings were looking at him as a potential addition, it was very clear that they were looking at him because he was like they thought they could make him into an elite 6-man. B, because of his ties to De'Aaron Fox. But the other thing that they said was that the advanced metrics on him, he was by far the best pick and roll guard in the NBA, and he has been the best pick and roll guard in the NBA, and that's why they brought in JaVale McGee, because JaVale McGee, by the numbers, was the best pick and roll big man in the NBA.
Yeah.
Even in the year before the Kings picked him up, even that year, limited role and the whole thing that happened with the Mavericks and all that stuff, still the best pick and roll big man percentage wise in the NBA.
Number 4.
Fox found. There we go.
4.
Fox found the turbo button. There was a point in the game where he started changing speed, and it was like, please just do that. The whole, oh my gosh. He started to do the float thing where he's just so good and he's so much better than everyone else on the court. And you just want to show him those clips where it's like, do you see how good you are? So he finished with 29 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, but I wanted more of it. And that was a game where he easily could have had 35. And I know you didn't need it because you had everybody kind of contributing, but at the same time, you needed it. And so I hope that he sees what others see in him in those moments where there's no one that can stop you.
Yeah. 11 of 24 overall is fine. 8 shots in the first half. Like you said, would just like to maybe a couple more. That's all.
I mean, he finished with 24 shot attempts. That's a lot. But again, there was 102 shot attempts by the Kings and 102 shot attempts by the Nuggets. That the pace of that game was crazy.
It was insane.
It was crazy.
Totally insane.
Yep.
Yeah. Fox, a good player though, man. Just quietly, just 29, 7 and 5.
Yep.
The fact that he's so good that we go 29, 7 and 5, and Felt like he could have had 35.
Come on, man.
Hell of a player. Number 5.
Number 5, Dermott was overmatched defensively early on, but I thought he fought. He's just overmatched. There's nothing you can do when
There's a reason Doug McDermott shouldn't be playing how many minutes to get? 27 minutes. There's a reason Doug McDermott probably shouldn't be playing 27 minutes.
No, but I do think there is a role for him on this team, especially
I don't disagree.
as they go through this segment of the season where they're really having problems with bench scoring.
Sure.
I don't love him as a starter, but to be honest with you, I don't think Mike Brown had a lot of options. He was trying to space the floor. I get what he was trying to do.
No doubt.
It probably would have worked better to start Jay Crowder and bring Doug McDermott off the bench so he's playing against second team guys, not first team guys. But then he found a shooting stroke. He was 4-7 from 3, 16 points. There was a point where he was tied for the team's lead in scoring. He just started hitting some shots. He got to the basket once and then hit a couple of threes. And look, I think there is a role for Doug McDermott on this team. I would like to see more Doug McDermott, in 15 to 18 minutes a game.
Yeah, that's fine. 27 is too many.
No, it's 20. It's too many, but that's because you're missing Keegan Murray.
Sure. Number 6.
I thought Keon Ellis put his best foot forward. Yep. Mike Brown was very clear on Sunday at practice that he's waiting for someone to step up. If someone wants to step up and take the role and be the guy that can take some of the scoring load with Kevin Huerter out, if someone wants to do it, that's fine. He's willing to give somebody an opportunity, but guys have to go out there and take responsibility in the right way. I thought he was disruptive. He was 3 of 6 from the field, scored 12 points, got to the free throw line, I think 5 times because he kept on the fast break. He kept going at them.
Yep.
6 rebounds and he had 5 blocks. So there was a point where he was a plus 20 and then the game unfolded late. But yeah, he definitely, for me, I thought he was very impressive and had a very, very good game and said, hey, look, play me more.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think when he plays like he did last night, it's really, really hard to make a case against not playing him.
No, I agree.
And we talked about this earlier. I know he's going to make his mistakes, and there's going to be times where he's being over aggressive, trying to get steals, and it gets players out of position, which is something the Kings can't really do, given their personnel. But when he does what he did last night, and the 1 for 5 from 3, whatever, as long as he's taking them, he's hit enough of them that I feel okay about him taking 5 shots from beyond the arc.
Me too, and he played 33 minutes last night.
Yeah,
I thought Keon Ellis was very good.
Yeah. Do you think that we see Keon in the starting lineup if Keegan is out Thursday? Or do you think they go with Doug McDermott again?
Maybe. Who do they play on Thursday?
Lakers.
I don't think you do a 3-guard set. Well, maybe. I mean, do you think you can survive with a 3-guard set against that team?
Probably not.
Probably not. No, I think you see.
But also ask me if I think they can survive with Doug McDermott starting.
No, I think you see Jay Crowder to match up against LeBron.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if you don't have.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah, if you don't have Keegan.
Okay, that's fine. Hopefully they have Keegan. That was weird.
Yeah.
Ankle soreness.
The ankle soreness. I don't know what happened there.
I have no idea.
I got to be honest. It showed up late on a midday injury report. And just so people know out there, the injury report, it shows up every hour, but on the half hour.
Yeah.
So if you're not checking specifically every hour on the half hour. So yesterday I left the studio to drive home. While I was on the road at 12:30, a new injury report came out from the NBA, and on that injury report was Keegan Murray being questionable. I asked Mike Brown about it in pregame, and Mike Brown seemed to have he's like, I don't know what happened. He has a sore ankle. He asked media relations, and they had no answer either to add to it. Just that's all we got for you. That was weird. I don't know what was happening. The vibe in the building was weird. Everything was weird. And, sometimes you miss a game because you're just beat up. But the Kings just had 4 days off. And so I was just.
Right. And soreness. So would it. How do I ask this without throwing people under the bus? Are you concerned that it might be something more than like general soreness and there's like an injury there that they don't know what it is yet? So they just called it soreness for now?
I don't know. This was the first game he's missed this season.
Right.
The Kings, and like Mike was very clear to us that like the days off that they've had here and they've had practice every day, they're not having contact drills.
Sure.
Like they're running through play sets, they're shooting, they are doing cardio and all that stuff, but they are not going out there and hitting each other. So it just is a strange thing to see a guy on 4 days rest come out and not play.
And the soreness part of this is what's sticking in my craw. He just walked up today and went, ankle hurts a little. Like that's not what happens. Did he roll his ankle?
Yeah.
And it was hurt, and they don't know whether it's sprained yet or what grade of sprain it is. Just a very, very odd situation. And the thing it did last night was it put a spotlight under a microscope of the Kings' wing issues.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like without Keegan Murray, you're so undersized against a team like that you have absolutely no opportunity to compete.
Against any team.
Yeah, against most teams in the NBA for sure.
Yeah.
But against that team specifically that starts a 6'8" Aaron Gordon at the power forward, but like a tremendously strong and a big time leaper, and then Michael Porter Jr. Who's like 6'10" at the 3.
Yeah.
Like to go into a game with a 6'6" DeMar DeRozan and a 6'7" Doug McDermott. I don't know. Is Doug McDermott even 6'7"?
I think he's listed at 6'7".
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look this at McDermott. No, McDermott's listed 6'6".
Oh boy.
Yeah,
God.
Yeah, so he's like that's tough when that's your matchup, and we're not talking about just two average Joes that may or may not be able to play basketball. We're talking about two forwards that started on a championship team like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
like this is a good
players.
team. Yeah, they're good players. And it was going to be a matchup problem coming into the game no matter what, because you only had one Keegan Murray and not two to defend the other one. And once you got into the game and that you didn't have Keegan, like I thought, oh, this is going to be bad. I didn't think the Kings would be able to compete at all. And I saw the 41-21 first quarter and thought, this is probably going to be a 15 to 20 point blowout loss tonight, maybe even more.
Yeah. Yeah, man. They just you just look down, and this is very specifically talking about what we've talked about for 2.5 years now. It's the size and athleticism on the wings.
Yep.
And Keon Ellis coming off the bench, fine. Good player. Colby Jones coming off the bench playing 18 minutes, don't hate it. Isaac Jones coming off the bench playing 6 minutes, okay. But then you get to Jay Crowder at 5 minutes, and that's the first like Keegan Murray-ish player that you have. The only Keegan Murray-ish player you have.
Who's like 34 and was a free agent like 2 weeks ago.
Who you signed off the street.
Yeah. Like, look, I'm not going to question Keegan's toughness because Keegan plays every game that he can, right?
Yeah, yes. I didn't mean to do that. If that's what it sounded like. I'm just my concern is that it's more than ankle soreness.
Yeah.
Because if his ankle was like, I don't know, it hurts a little. He's playing. Like, we know that.
I just found it really strange because again, this is a guy who who played 80 games his rookie season, started 77 out of 82 games last year, and this was the first game this season he missed. So, I don't know what the deal was. I do know he was standing on the sidelines in street clothes, and again, it just like shines a glaring like spotlight on the problem with this roster that you do not have anyone. I mean, even Jalen McDaniels, I would have like in this game, you would have had to go to him if you still had him.
I almost said he would have helped, but I don't know if that's true. He would have played.
Yeah, he would have played.
Yeah.
Did you see on that Chris Duarte got sent to the G League yesterday?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Tough. Hate it for my guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Sko Ducks. Obviously, when we talk about the Kings roster, that inevitably leads to the trade discussion. So we'll dive into that. We'll do that. We'll also go back over Mad Props.
Oh yeah.
And Jesse's here. I gotta go make sure Jesse can come in today.
Okay.
He's good? Good. Jesse's good. All right. Jesse's gonna come in today. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you, I want to let you know that we're giving away tickets to Legoland, California.
Oh.
Yeah. You can enjoy Elf Extravaganza at Legoland now through January 5th and up for grabs right now at ESPN1320.com. As a family 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California Resort. You enter online at the contest page at ESPN1320.com. 'Tis the season for Fa La 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 Lego fun.
Oh, who wrote that one?
I hope it was Charlie. If Charlie wrote it, I love it. If anyone else did, I hate it. Tickets courtesy of Legoland, California Resort. Win a couple of tickets to Legoland, California now. ESPN1320.com. Hey, the Emirates NBA Cup final tonight, Bucks, Thunder. I'm excited. I think that's going to be a fun one.
Okay.
I think this is a sneaky, super important game. And not because of the Emirates NBA Cup, but because it feels like a chance for each of these teams to define what they want to be. And the Bucks have kind of bounced back. They had that really ugly start to the year, but now they've started playing really well. Obviously, they have reached the finals of the Emirates NBA Cup. They are currently, the Milwaukee Bucks are currently the number 5 seed at 14-11. And they got off to a really, really poor start. If you remember, they started the season 4-9. It was ugly. 2-8 they were through 10 games. Now they're 14-11. But this is a chance where they go, yeah, hey, beat the top contender in the West, won the NBA in-season tournament. The Bucks have arrived. And same thing for the Thunder. They're this up-and-coming team. Well, they've not won anything yet. And not that the NBA Cup is going to go at the top of anybody's resume, but if you go into this tournament situation and you win this whole thing, I think the Thunder look more for real to me. If they go out and win the whole thing, just because you can go, yeah, look, they got in a tournament situation and they won a bunch of must-win games.
I think this is a really interesting matchup here. It's two teams that you could see, like in the finals.
Yes.
Like this could be a finals preview, and I still think Boston's going to have a lot to say with it.
Yeah, Boston's going to finals.
Yeah. I mean, most likely Boston's barring injuries or whatever,
sure.
but I still think that the Bucks are that team, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the team that
they're right there for sure.
Yeah, they could, make a push, and they're a team that started off slow like the Kings have, but then found sort of their footing and have been tracking very well over the last like 3 or 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like this should be a fun game.
Yeah, can't wait. Emirates NBA Cup final tonight. Bucks against the Thunder. All right, we'll talk Kings trade. We'll have to go back to last Thursday for Mad Props.
Yep.
We'll do that with Jesse Tapia of D-Lo and KC. That's coming up here in a minute on The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
Did I say something funny there? You gave me eyes like I said something. No? Oh, hey. Kyle.
Hang on.
Oh.
What do you got?
Hello. Oh, from Fabrizio Romano. For me personally, I'm ready for a new challenge and the next steps. That is Marcus Rashford of Manchester United. What's happening, everybody? Yeah. And to be honest with you, I'm really excited about the possibility of this, of Rashford being, getting shipped out at the deadline. Well, I think we're almost there, right? January. That's a good thing.
Better over here.
Oh, big story out of Lakerland.
Really?
Bronny James will participate in the G League Winners Showcase.
Watch out, everyone.
Does that mean they're showcasing him? Huh. Yeah. We're gonna have a discussion right now about all this stuff. And Lizzie, I love your Jimmy Butler. I don't know if that's always what your avatar is, but it's funny.
I think it started last week.
Oh, Norm, good luck with everything. Man, the Kings are up, what, 6-8 at home?
Oh, we still have 2.5 minutes.
What?
I'm going to take full advantage of that.
You're going to go get more little muffins? That's taking full advantage, just so you know, Kyle.
Oh, okay. I'm going to take some advantage of this.
Partial advantage of this.
Small amount of advantage.
Hmm. What's going on, everybody? Leezy, that's a good question. The Boogie, Isaiah Thomas, Rudy Gay team. No, because that team struggled with injuries. And like at the end of the day, they never played together. There was like large sections of that season where they didn't play together. And not only that, but management was not on board with putting a good product on the court. Like Michael Malone was begging for some sort of point guard help, and they signed Royce White that year instead of getting him a point guard. So Ray McCallum was playing like 46 minutes a game down the stretch. This team, like their stars, have had a couple of injuries here and there, but it's a lack of depth that this team has. Jay, the last night the attendance was close to 17,000. That's not been the case the last 2 weeks. Well, maybe a little bit longer. It's been between like 15,1 and 15,7 thousand seats in attendance, and that's what they're putting out as like their number, which includes like tickets they gave away to people.
Ooh.
Oh.
Did you already note the new All-Star format is in?
No, that just dropped.
Okay.
Yeah, the new All-Star format is officially in. We can talk about that on the air.
Here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
A small amount of breaking news. The NBA has officially announced today that the 2025 NBA All-Star Game in the Bay Area has a new format. All-Star voting opens Thursday, December 19th. The fan voting portion begins December 19th at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Here's the new All-Star Game format in the NBA. There will be 24 NBA All-Star selections divided evenly into 3 8-player teams.
Okay.
The fourth is the Castrol Rising Stars champion. So there will be the Rising Stars game. The winner of that game is the fourth All-Star team.
Now it's called the Castro?
Castrol.
Castrol.
Like Castrol.
Oil?
Yes.
Okay.
Honorary team general managers are Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny Smith, and Candace Parker.
Okay.
Barkley, O'Neal, and Smith will draft their team rosters from a pool of 24 NBA All-Star selections. Parker is the GM of the Rising Stars team. 2 teams meet in one semifinal game, and the remaining 2 teams meet in the other semifinal game. And then the winning teams from game 1 and 2 advance to face each other in the championship game. The winner of each game is the first team to reach or surpass 40 points. I am so in on this. I can't wait. This is going to be a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have the urgency of trying to get to 40 points. You're not going to see, I don't think you're going to see a 40 points in 3 minutes. Like, it's not going to be like the All-Star game was. And because of the truncated time, because I saw some people when they first floated this idea, I saw some people asking, well, what's the incentive still? They're still going to dog it. But no, the thing now is when you're playing to 40, the time you're playing gets a lot shorter.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, we saw the Kings gave up 41 in the first quarter last night.
Right, in 12 minutes.
And the Nuggets, they gave up 47
in 12 minutes.
In 12 minutes last night.
Right. So I think you're going to see teams trying harder. I think you're going to see teams, players trying harder, and players setting a tone early that, like, hey, we're trying to get to 40. And we're trying to stop you from getting to 40. That's the goal. Don't have to play 48 minutes. Don't have to play 30 minutes, whatever it is. You're going to go play hard to get to 40 points. And that's it. And then you add in the Rising Stars portion of this. And nobody's going to want to lose to the Rising Stars team.
Oh, no.
A team with LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Jaylen Brown or whoever is not going to want to go lose to a bunch of dudes who are 20, 21 years old.
No.
Alperen Şengün and Amen Thompson and whoever. The Rockets.
the Rockets.
Nobody's going to want to lose to the Rockets.
Well, I don't think Şengün is eligible for the Rising Stars
anymore. Yeah, no, he's been, I don't know why his
3
name
years.
was the first one that came up.
It's okay.
Nobody's going to want to lose to Victor Wembanyama and the Rockets.
Yeah. Unless he's an all-star, which
good point. He probably will be. But yeah, man, that's going to be fun. And I can't wait. I think the All-Star game is back. I'm declaring it right now.
Okay. I'm hoping so. They're also, there's a $1.8 million prize pool. The championship winning team will receive $125,000 each. Second place, $50,000, and third and fourth place, $25,000 each. That's a big incentive. That's in NBA players, despite the fact that they make lots of money, they are still motivated greatly by money.
Dude, let me tell you. I know that $100,000 is a drop in the bucket for LeBron James. Like, genuinely, that is a drop in the bucket.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other hand, let's say something is $50. Let's say there's a $50 prize in something. You're going to try a lot harder at that thing when it's like, dude, $50?
Oh, yeah.
$100? Whatever amount of money.
No,
the incentive changes a lot.
I think I spent $100 on Halloween costume just to win the $50 gift card.
Yeah.
That's what
See?
you do. Yeah.
So I think the money plays. I think I think it is a factor, despite the fact that these guys already make exorbitant amounts of money. You want to go win that money. You win $100K. Yeah, you're gonna go put out a little effort.
Okay. I'm just surprised this is a Castrol Rising Stars, not the Sprite. I guess Sprite is no longer a thing. Sprite Rising Stars. was like forever. It was the Sprite Rising Stars game.
Oh,
I don't know.
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. But yeah, can't wait. That is the 2025 NBA All-Star Game. That's the new format. And that is when the All-Star Game is down in the Bay Area. Did the Kings game last night, before we get to Mad Props, did the Kings game last night move the needle for you at all in terms of like urgency for the Kings to make a deal?
I think so. But I don't know. The Kings should have urgency the whole time. And I do think the Kings do have an urgency. They're the team that we've heard for the last 3 weeks that are trying to make a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's possible they don't have, something to sweeten the deal and to close one of these potential deals that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard plenty of conversations that have happened between like them and the Nets, over the last, maybe that was like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where it was like kind of hot and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
The Nets just made their first move. So you think that there's going to be some sort of like multiple moves coming. And so for me, like this team should be looking to make moves without any question. But I also I think some people on the outside would be like, hey, we need to make sure that Kevin Huerter shoulder thing isn't a bigger deal. Or, hey, look, if we're talking about Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles, we need to make sure that calf injury isn't a bigger deal.
Man.
And so there's all of these question marks that you have, but I think last night just once again exposed the clear issue in roster construction that this team has had for a couple of years now. And you have to address the biggest situation. And if you can't, I guess maybe at some point, just hey, look, what we have to offer is not good enough and teams are not accepting. So we've tried, but that's it. That's all we can do. But I would also think it's possible.
Sorry. That's tough to me.
Well, but I went through and I was telling you before we got on the show, the Kings don't have any second round picks to offer. If you're talking about sweeteners for a deal,
sure,
they've got access to 1 second round pick over the next 7 years. And that's because 2 of their picks at 26 and 27 are tied up in the Kevin Huerter trade. So if
right.
Because if they don't give out their first round pick in 2025 or 26, it becomes 2 second round picks, which is their 26 and 27 second round pick. And then you got I think they have their 2030 second round pick or their 2029 second round pick. That's all they have as far as those picks. Now, first round picks, they do have more. They have 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. 31 is the pick swap, and 27 has to have a disclaimer about whether or not, you'll get that pick or the next year's pick. But the cupboard is a little bare here.
That's a tough truth for me to handle. Because then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Because the roster right now is not a championship roster.
No.
It may not even be a playoff roster. It's TBD. But it's really clear and has been for a couple of years they need these upgrades. Whether it's a stretch 4 that can play next to Sabonis or another 6'7", 6'8", 3-and-D, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or another couple of those guys. And if you just don't have the assets to go get one,
I mean, look, they tried. They had a lottery
to me.
They had a lottery pick, and they tried. They tried to move that pick, that all the way up until the point that they stepped up on the stage. Everything I've heard is that they were very, very active. We did not think that they would select in number 12.
Yeah,
but I also did not think that they would the Davion Mitchell year. There was so much smoke that they were trading that pick, and then they weren't able to make a move. So. Maybe you just can't, the offers aren't there. Maybe, and look, we talked about the potential for Huerter and for Lyles to not be healthy, and maybe teams are waiting for that. But I'd also say, the same could be said about Devin Carter. Maybe teams want to see what Devin Carter is and where he's at and his rehab. And, there's a good possibility he's going to be ready to roll early January at this point.
Sure.
Where he might be back up on the main roster playing. I would assume that they're probably going to use a G League to at least get him his legs stretched out and, get him.
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah, get him some game action for a week. But I do believe that we're going to see a point like very soon where Devin Carter is part of this mix. But that's not the solution. That's still not the problem. I'm
at the point where I'll overpay, dude. Like, cool, I get to keep my first round picks and keep whatever this team is. Or if I got to overpay and include a first round pick where maybe another team doesn't, then so be it.
Well, or
I'm sorry. I'm done doing you can't, like, you got to kind of sit and wait and you got to see, and you don't have.
I think you're at a point where, if you're sitting here saying, hey, we'll give you a lottery protected first round pick. Now you might be to the point where it's like, okay, we'll give you a top 10 protected pick, or we'll give you a top 8 protected pick. Maybe you have to start changing the projections of those picks. Or, hey, we talked about it earlier. If you have to close a deal, if you have to include a player like Keon Ellis, that might be where you have to like bite the bullet and say, look, we don't have the first round pick that you're looking for, but if we have to, we'll include a young player that's nice and makes sense. I'm not advocating for that because I think Keon Ellis should be playing major minutes.
I agree.
But if the only pathway to get a 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", 3-and-D wing is to use Keon Ellis when you've got Devin Carter around the corner, then maybe that's what you have to do. I don't know, but they're definitely in a situation.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll see how that plays out. It's a conversation that is not stopping anytime soon. And speaking of not stopping anytime soon, Jesse Tapia in the building, producer for D-Lo and KC. D-Lo and KC coming up here at noon. What's up, man? How was your, I almost asked how your weekend was, but that was already the weekend.
Yeah, no, we're on a Tuesday, Kyle.
What are you going to do,
We've been working, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle. Some of us had to work yesterday.
Anyways.
We weren't making Lindsay Lohan movies.
Yes, exactly.
James, 2 props. Which number will he hire? That's for Kyle and James to decide.
And Jesse.
Here's Mad Props.
Yeah, here's Mad Props. So this is going to go all the way back to Thursday.
Love it.
We're going Niners, Rams, and Kings, Pelicans.
Yeah, nice.
A good week for me, guys. I'm really fired up. Number 1, we had George Kittle receptions or Keegan Murray 3-point attempts. We all thought George Kittle would have more receptions than Keegan Murray would have 3-point attempts. It was not. 4 catches for George Kittle, 7 3-point attempts for Keegan Murray. We all took George Kittle.
Wow.
I would be interested to see how that number would have shaken out had Brock Purdy been able to throw the football in the rain.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should have anticipated for the rain in this one.
I didn't anticipate the rain.
It was in the back of my mind. Was like, he'll be fine. They'll be fine.
I mean, it's
not fine.
like I don't
understand. I've got Purdy rain stuff.
That's like a high school issue, like that you can't throw in the rain at all. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, okay, yeah, we'll talk. Brock Purdy's issues in the inclement weather will be a discussion tomorrow on the Insiders from 10 a.m. to noon right here on ESPN 1320. Number 2, Brock Purdy pass attempts or De'Aaron Fox points, rebounds, and assists. We all took Fox. De'Aaron Fox 33 points, rebounds, and assists. Brock Purdy 31 pass attempts.
There we go. Yeah,
it's a tie. That's well done. That's well done by us.
Kind of low, but we took care of that.
Yeah, he just got us over the hump there. 49ers total points or DeMar DeRozan total points. I was the only one who went DeMar.
Oh,
good for you.
Oh,
he needed 7.
Like I said, should have anticipated for the rain.
We got handled.
6 points.
I don't know. That was disgusting.
6. Again, I ordered. That was the rock bottom of the Kyle Shanahan era, whatever the hell that was offensively. 29 points for DeMar DeRozan, 6 for the 49ers, an easy dub for me. Number 4, we had Deebo Samuel touches or Kevin Huerter field goal attempts, and we all said the Niners are going to force feed Deebo, and they did. Didn't work out. If he had caught a couple more of his targets, maybe this gets a little more interesting. Alas, he did not. He had 5 touches. Kevin Huerter took 10 field goal attempts. We all get the W there. Well done, guys.
There we go.
I'm proud of Kevin Huerter for getting those shots in.
Shout out Kevin Huerter.
Bummed that he got hurt right when he started to get rolling.
And very clear that he got hurt in that game. Like you saw him start oh, not good.
Ricky Pearsall targets or Domantas Sabonis 3-point attempts. James, you went with Domas. Jesse and I, we rocked with Ricky Pearsall. 4 targets for Ricky Pearsall.
Big day.
Yeah, it was big time. And that's what when we talk about like the Niners aren't going to tank, one of the things you got to do, you got to get Ricky Pearsall involved in the offense now.
Yeah.
Just start getting him ready for next year. That's what I expect his target rate to go up quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna need him next year. Who knows about IU?
Probably should have had a couple more catches too if Purdy could deliver a throw on target.
Mhm.
But different conversation. Last one. Isaac Arendo rushing yards or Kings first half total points is a close one. Jesse and I went Isaac Arendo rushing yards. James, you went Kings first half total. 53 first half points for the Kings, 57 rushing yards.
There we go.
For Isaac Arendo.
There we
That's
go.
big time. That finishes up a
Got you, James.
5-1 week for me, 4-2 for Jesse, a 2-4 week for James. But James, I believe, still out in front in the win percentage.
Who knows what the season would have looked like if I was here week 1?
That's what I'm saying.
People are asking.
Oh.
Many are asking.
People are asking.
It's a huge topic of discussion around the country.
Exactly.
What would Mad Props have looked like if Jesse Toppy was here week 1? Last night's Kings loss bothered me quite a bit. That feels like one that you got to go win.
Okay, it was kind of weird for me watching it. Like as soon as Keegan Murray was ruled out, I was like, "Oh, this team has no chance. They're gonna lose." First quarter happens, like, "Oh yeah, definitely, this team has no chance." Then they come back, and I felt like they had control of the game. Like at some point in the fourth, it's like, "All right, I think they got it." No way the Nuggets come back, and it just turns out Denver was just never gonna miss a shot the rest of the game.
They did
was
not.
tough.
The last 4
literally.
minutes, they went
Insane.
7-7. They hit all of their free throws. They scored 21 points in 4 minutes.
I mean, I'm not.
21 points in 4 minutes. That is a 63-point quarter.
I'm not too bummed about it just because I feel like coming out of it, yeah, we learned not even learn, just reinforce the Kings need depth. They need players.
That's
Like if Keegan and Kevin, that's always gonna hurt you. But the fact that you have nothing else after that, that's not gonna work. That's not sustainable. The starting 5 can't go 40 plus every night.
Yeah, and that's where they're at. I mean, I thought you had Keon Ellis play like 33 minutes last night. Super effective, but you've got to have some sort of wing depth.
Yeah,
Like,
dude. And if your front office isn't sitting there, and we just talked about urgency before Mad Props, but if your front office isn't looking at your starting 5 and going, if we had like 2 additional rotation pieces, this is a really hard team to beat.
They're not even far off, the Kings.
That's
not
it.
far off.
That's
No.
it. It's not like, man, you know what? Yeah, they need that wing depth, but hey, this starting lineup isn't working. They need this and that. Like, no, you have your starting 5. That's your starting 5. That's your closing 5.
Literally just asking for some consistent players off the bench.
That's it.
Yeah.
I need 18 minutes worth of players.
I think you guys talking about it earlier before I came on, like Monty McNair, like not having a ton of second round picks and just his assets not being the most. Like that's on him too. You better figure it out.
That's it.
Like it's up to you to make the deals, and it's up to you to accumulate the assets so we can make the deals.
Yeah.
Like if you can't, all right, then I don't know. Maybe you're not the guy.
That's where I'm looking at this and like, hey, can you go for broke? Can you get Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson? And that sounds like, oh my gosh. But if I'm giving up a first round pick that's protected versus, hey, okay, I'll give you a first round pick unprotected. That's it. Like that's where I'm at. Like that's if you're pushing all in and you can make the salaries work. It's not easy, but you can, it's going to be like a 4 for 2. You can figure out a way to make the salaries work, but I don't know how else, like, I don't know that one player changes everything. And because to get that one player, you're going to lose Kevin Huerter to change it. And so you're still going to be chasing a little bit.
They need multiple guys. Like it's not just we got Cam Johnson, we're good now. Like you probably need another guy.
I think Cam Johnson would help a lot though.
Yeah, he would.
And that's where it's like you talk about all in, like, all right, now's the time, dudes.
Yeah, then the next discussion is
what are we waiting for?
If you got Cam Johnson, does that mean that you start Cam Johnson, push DeMar DeRozan to the 2 and bring Malik Monk back off the bench and you go there? Does that mean that you go DeMar DeRozan off the bench? Does it mean that Cam Johnson comes off the bench? Like it opens
right now,
up
I'm not messing
thing.
with the starting 5.
Yeah, me neither.
Yep.
What do you guys got coming up?
Trista Crick will be on, Jason Jones, and just a lot of Kings talk after that game yesterday.
Can't wait. Should be a fun Tuesday on D-Lo and KC. That's Jesse Tapia. He produces that program. Jesse, thanks for hopping in. James, we will continue this trade discussion stuff tomorrow. It's not going anywhere.
Jiffy Lube.
Oh, our Jiffy Lube. Thank you. Teamwork play of the game. Wing.
Wing. W-I-N-G.
At ESPN1320.com. Go to the Jiffy Lube contest page.
Right now.
And go to Jiffy Lube right now. Get your wipers checked. Get your headlights replaced. Get your brake lights replaced.
That's right.
Get that oil change. $33 off coupon now at jiffylube.com. You can also find the location nearest you at jiffylube.com. Again, the keyword is wing at ESPN1320.com because boy, do the Kings need one. That conversation will continue tomorrow here on the Insiders at 10 a.m. Sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Until then, drink water. Be nice, people. Boo!